Honorable Ministers, Permanent Secretaries, Chief Executives of agencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to be given the opportunity to present to Nigerians what the Ministry of Communication Technology has been doing over the last 2 years and how we have been effectively contributing to His Excellency President Goodluck Jonathan's transformation agenda. Our report card today is structured into 4 areas: a very brief introduction of the story so far of the Ministry, an overview of the Ministry's priorities, how we have worked to address those priorities, and what Nigerians should expect from the Ministry and the ICT industry over the next 2 years. As you know, the Ministry was created in 2011 out of a recognition of the role of ICT as a tool for economic development, for wealth and job creation, as a tool for social development, facilitating the expansion of social service delivery across the dispersed population. The creation of the Ministry also achieved the concentration of focal ICT agencies under one umbrella, bringing together better sectoral performance and catalyzing on the synergies of the complementary agencies and achieving economies of scale. We have 5 major industry priorities which were developed based on extensive review of the ICT industry when the Ministry was created, and also very inclusive consultation with the key stakeholders in the industry. Our priorities are to, first of all, connect Nigeria, and that is to speed up the build-out of the communications infrastructure to support good quality telecom services and high-speed internet. Our second priority is to connect Nigerians, which is to ensure that Nigerians have affordable access to this infrastructure and they have the capacity to use them. Our third priority is in local content, and that is to lower the barriers to entry and increase the participation of Nigerian companies in the fast-growing ICT sector, one of the fastest-growing sectors in the Nigerian economy today. Our fourth priority is ICT in government, increasing the adoption of ICTs by government to achieve greater transparency, efficiency, and productivity in governance and citizen engagement. And our last but not the least priority is to create an enabling environment for this industry to grow and to prosper, a predictable and stable environment that will attract the investments necessary to do the things that we need to do. I will take each of these priorities one by one, and I will explain what the Ministry has done in each of these areas. What you see on the slide now is a scorecard that we have signed with Mr. President. This is a scorecard for how we measure our success in our Connect Nigeria priorities. Our indicators of success are the ubiquity, the pervasiveness, the cost and the speed of the ICT infrastructure, Nigerians that have access to voice services, Nigerians that have access to the internet. We have singled out the rural areas for special intervention and special mention because of the number of Nigerians that live in rural areas that are excluded from this infrastructure. And an additional 9 million Nigerians are becoming internet users every year, and we need to ensure that access is affordable to all regardless of their economic status. What we have seen is that the number of mobile GSM subscribers has continued to increase over the years, but really when you look at our fixed line and fixed wireless connectivity, it is decreasing. Our connectivity is concentrated in our urban areas, with approximately 40% of our rural areas not having any connectivity at all. And we are witnessing some significant challenges in the operating environment that are constituting a limiting factor on further expansion of this infrastructure. So what we needed to do was to increase the spread and scope of the infrastructure and also to prioritize our rollout to unserved and underserved areas, primarily the rural and the semi-urban areas in the country. What this slide shows you are the means by which we extend that infrastructure, of course through the private sector, through microwave transmission that connects the base stations and transfers your voice calls across the country, through fiber optic undersea cable that comes from Europe and delivers the internet to our shores, through terrestrial fiber that takes that internet capacity and permeates it all across the country, and of course satellite communications as well. What you see here, the dark colors that you see are what the progress that we've made between 2001 and 2010, and the light areas are the progress that have been made between 2010 and 2012. What you will see from these slides is basically that with the exception of the fiber optic undersea cable, we seem to be slowing down on some of the infrastructure in the other areas. The microwave transmission, we have, between 2001 and 2010, we moved from 116 to 21,000 base stations all across the country. But as you see, between 2010 and 2013, only 5,000 base stations were actually built. The next slide will show you the exponential growth in base stations from 116, like I said, to 26,000. Between 2009 and 10, we had 5,000 base stations deployed. Between 2010 and 2011, another 5,000. Between 2011 and 2012, only 1,000 base stations were deployed. And you can see that this coincides with the difficulty that we're having in the acute quality of service issues that we're experiencing in the country today. And there are many reasons for that. First of all, the very high setup and operating costs for our infrastructure providers, and I'll talk about that in a minute. There are some delays in the approvals that are given to provide that infrastructure. And of course, we've been faced with significant security challenges that has actually made our infrastructure a lot more vulnerable. And at this point, I'd like to thank the Inspector General of Police, the Commandant General of the Security Defense Forces for their support in helping us really police and ensure we keep this infrastructure up and going. We're currently on 27,000. We're about 27,000 base stations, but we need to have about 60,000 base stations within the next 5 years. And when you look at how we're growing at 2,000 a year, we cannot achieve it with the current pace at which it is being done. The good news is that there is funding available to support this. You will have read in the papers that at least $6 billion will be spent, has been committed to building that infrastructure by the major telecoms operators. In a point of fact, one of them was a $3 billion syndicated loan, and it was actually applauded as the biggest financial deal in sub-Saharan Africa. So investments are coming into this country because we have a viable communications and IT industry, but we must ensure that we actually are ensuring that these investments are generating the most value. What we have done in terms of ensuring that we can get the most value out of these investments is, first of all, we secured the commitment of at the highest levels of this government. Mr. President facilitated the merger of 2 CDMA companies that would have failed with a loss of several thousand jobs, to facilitate the merger of these companies to create a viable local Nigerian company that would deliver broadband services across the nation. His Excellency the Vice President led the delegation to the International Telecoms Union, International Telecoms Union World in 2012, letting the world know that ICT is important for Nigeria at the very highest levels. We continue to engage with our industry stakeholders to identify challenges and to negotiate solutions, particularly in terms of how to ensure that we get the most value out of our ICT spend. We continue to work with our agencies to ensure that they're aligned in terms of delivering base stations and ensuring that we meet all the environmental protection standards that are required. We have extended communications infrastructure to our underserved and unserved areas, utilizing the USB funds. We have several programs that are doing this. The Accelerated Mobile Phone Expansion Program is deploying base stations to rural areas. We have deployed 54 in 2012 and 28 more are planned for 2013. Our Rural Broadband Initiative provides wholesale internet bandwidth to ISPs, cyber cafes in the rural areas. We have 18 pilot sites in 18 states. 12 of them are 95% complete, and testing is currently ongoing in Akure and Osogbo. In terms of the undersea cable, there are no real challenges here. We have about 4.76 terabytes of international bandwidth coming to these shores. We hope to increase this to about 5.1 terabytes has been added to this between 2010 and 2013. And by the end of this year, we'll have 15 terabytes per second of internet capacity. So we have enough internet capacity landing at our seashores to fulfill our immediate requirements. The challenge that we have is actually being able to roll out this internet capacity at our seashores right across the country. Today, there's been, we've lost the slides. Today, there's been, within the last 10 years, there's been approximately 30,000 kilometers of fiber that has been laid. In 2010, we had another, between 2010 and 2012, we had another 11,000 kilometers. But what you will see is that a lot of this fiber is actually duplicated. When you see the map of Nigeria, I know you can't see it very well, but the number of red lines there shows you that some of that fiber is duplicated about 3 or 4 times in the same place. And in addition to that, what we have is the procurement of right-of-way, which is critical to laying fiber. We've got to procure the right-of-way from federal and local state governments. The right-of-way varies from 690,000 per kilometer to 6.5 million naira per kilometer. And that is a huge cost. And what the next slide will show you is what the implication of this cost of right-of-way is. So as we build out our infrastructure, if you look at the top schematic there, for every 100 naira that is spent on ICT infrastructure, particularly fiber optic, we spend 40 naira on procuring right-of-way, we spend 20 naira on the taxes and levies that are imposed on us at the federal level, and then only 40% of that 100, only 40 naira of that 100 naira is actually in the core infrastructure. What we have done in the ministry is work with the Federal Ministry of Works, collaborating very closely with them, and we've increased the amount of money that is actually going into infrastructure build-out. So today, based on our agreements and collaboration, only 5%, we've reduced the right-of-way cost to 145,000 naira. So only 5% of our cost is going into right-of-way. Another 2-3% is going into the taxes and levies, and 93% is going into build-out of core infrastructure. At the state level, the issue is actually, the state and local government level, the issue is actually more compounded. The same cost is going into right-of-way. 30% of the cost of build-out, for every 100 naira, 30 naira is actually spent on taxes and levies at the state and local government level, and only 20% of the money is actually being spent on civil works, fiber and equipment. What we have done with the kind intervention of the Vice President is to begin to negotiate with the state governors through the National Economic Council, and what we have agreed right now is a reduction on the right-of-way to 5% of total cost, a 10% reduction, a reduction from 30% to 10% on the taxes and levies at the state and local government, and we can now have 85% of that money going into the build-out of core infrastructure. In addition to what we have negotiated with the state governments, there's a city issue before where we had close to 9 agencies charging telecoms providers different kind of taxes, ecological tax, sanitation levy, petroleum storage tax, all kinds of taxes. We've narrowed this down to one tax that will go to the state government, and they will then distribute this tax across the agencies. We have streamlined the right-of-way applications to 30 days a maximum, and we've also spoken with the governors who will issue executive orders protecting key infrastructure prior to the passage of the Critical Infrastructure Bill. The operators have also done their part. The operators are operating a dig once policy. Basically what was happening was that every operator that wanted to lay fiber would dig the road, put their fiber in and close it back again. A few months later, somebody else would come, dig the road, close it back again. So in exchange for what the state governments have done for us, we will operate a dig once policy. Once we dig, we put in a duct and we put fiber of other companies through it. We have also agreed to lay fiber, passive fiber, to all the state institutions, state secretariats, secondary schools, primary schools, so that we can have fiber in many of those institutions that are within 1 kilometer of the right-of-way that is procured. And of course, we're looking at ways to integrate fiber infrastructure to state-funded projects. Definitely, implementation will come with its own challenges, but we're committed to ensuring that we sustain this level of progress in terms of the available investments in our infrastructure, and we have the strong support of the state governors and definitely the Vice President of this country, and of course the President. With satellite transmission, there are 11 satellites currently positioned over Africa, and we're glad to say that one of those satellites belongs to, is part of the ministry, the NigelSat-1 satellite. We have begun the commercialization of this bandwidth by signing an MOU with STM Networks, which is one of the largest global suppliers of satellite bandwidth, to commercialize all the Ka band of NigelSat-1. So we're beginning to get the dividends of making that investment in a government-owned satellite. We're also, as we make sure that the industry, the environment is enabling for investments, we're also making sure that the environment is enabling for consumers as well. We have implemented the mobile number portability that gives customers the choice to move from network to network without any hindrances. We continue to monitor the promotions by operators that will degrade the network to any extent. And we're also looking at curbing or minimizing any anti-competitive behavior by declaring dominance in some of the areas of the telecoms industry, such that we can allow the local industry to grow and to prosper. And of course, there's been a tariff reduction of SMS services from 15 naira to 4 naira. And so we're creating an enabling environment for our consumers and also our industry. In the second priority area of connecting Nigerians, these are the indicators. Our indicators of our success are the number of Nigerians that are connected to this infrastructure, with specific emphasis on the Nigerian student. We have declared the Nigerian student a priority area because it is unthinkable that in the year of 2013, with the advent of the global village, a rural ICT center that has been deployed by NISDA, and of course the post office that came under the Ministry of Communication then. So we have all these centers, but they're not evenly dispersed. We have come together as an interministerial committee. We have defined guidelines for public access venues, and what we're going to be seeing over the next few years is public access venues that will be much better spread across the nation and allow more Nigerians to have access to this important infrastructure. In terms of inclusive development, we have an exceptionally high number of Nigerians that are excluded from infrastructures that can meet their basic needs. And what we're trying to do with this infrastructure and the access to devices is to ensure that no matter where you live, as long as you have a mobile phone, you've got a PC and access to the internet, you can ensure the drugs you purchase are not fake, you can directly receive subsidies from government, you can conduct your financial transactions safely and securely, and you can benefit from access to health specialists that are resident in faraway urban centers, simply by connectivity of a mobile phone, either through voice or the internet. Like I said, we've declared Nigerian students a priority. Next month, we will launch the Nigeria Research and Education Network that connects 27 federal universities to each other and to the internet. The USP Fund is also supporting this particular project, and the USP Fund will then connect 12 medical colleges, 28 off-campus sites, and the 9 federal universities to the internet and to each other. We continue to roll out our Schools Access project. Today, 605 schools have benefited from this project that delivers computers, high-speed internet connectivity and wireless network deployment to government public schools. In 2013, we'll add another 218 schools, and we've just launched a student computer ownership scheme that allows students to actually own their devices through very cheap, low-rate interest loans. All federal universities and state universities are signed up, and we're working to ensure that we can deliver these computers to interested students as quickly as possible. We continue to work to use our communication infrastructure to support the safety and security of our citizens. The NCC has committed to building 36 emergency communication centers. 25 of them, we've completed the civil works. 2 of them are in pilot mode right now, and the target is to have 1 emergency response center in every state of the Federation. We will use NIPOST as the platform for increasing financial inclusion and also increasing digital inclusion in our country. Decreasing financial exclusion. We are working on the 2 reform bills for NIPOST, which will ensure that NIPOST can participate and receive investments, and we're also developing postal outlets to become venues for financial services. Today we have more postal outlets than all the banks put together, and we must use that infrastructure as a means of financial inclusion. In the area of innovation, job creation, and local content, our indicators of success are the active, productive, creative, and profitable participation of Nigerian companies in this fast-growing ICT sector, whether it is through hardware devices, software, or services. We have done a number of things in this area. One of them, as I said, with the IG World in Dubai, we took a number of young Nigerians to showcase what we're doing in the ICT sector, and that received a lot of very good input. In terms of innovation, we're creating a virtuous cycle of innovation, local content, and job creation. Innovation, looking for the best talent in this country and providing a platform for them to develop their solutions through our Tech Launchpad initiative. Local content, meaning linking these local solutions to industry, the work we've done with Chevron, with First Bank, with Access Bank, and a number of other oil and gas companies to ensure these companies have a ready market. That's what they have the challenge with. And of course, job creation that comes about as a result of innovation and local content. We're already beginning to see the results, and this slide that you see that's populated here shows you the companies that have been created in the last 5 years, and we've seen an acceleration over the time the ministry has been created. You can't see this very well, but we have young Nigerians. All these companies on this slide here are run by Nigerians that are under 40. Every single one of those companies is less than 5 years old, and the Financial Times about 3 weeks ago featured the phenomenal growth in the e-commerce industry in this country. One of these companies has just received significant venture capital, I think about $20 million from a foreign venture capital firm. And we're also doing our own bit in terms of venture capital. We've launched our innovation centers, which will assist these young Nigerians, put them in an innovation or an incubation center to grow their skills, give them mentoring support, and ensure that they move from concept to a business as quickly as possible. We launched our Lagos Center in April. We'll be launching our collaboration with the Cross River State Government on July 8, 2013. We have also established the Innovation Fund. We have fund managers that have been appointed, and we hope that we will do a first close of this fund of $50 million to begin to give money to young Nigerians who need this money to grow their ICT businesses. So this just shows you That's the center. Information Technology Developers Entrepreneurship Accelerator, IDEA. That's the acronym. We want to take our young people's ideas and make them into businesses. So that's been one of our great achievements. Tech Launchpad, I just very quickly just show you what we're seeing right now. Young Nigerians are developing cutting-edge application, authentication solutions for financial services. They developed a data management solution for oil and gas industry, and they developed a backup solution for petrol stations. We're going to take these young Nigerians, put them in the incubation centers, and ensure that these ideas don't go to waste. We're working with the private sector to do this very collaboratively. We're also implementing initiatives to build local capacity. We've partnered with a number of multinational companies. SAP will launch a program to train unemployed graduates in business management and ICT skills and roll them into jobs. The interesting fact is that within the ICT industry, we have a lot of vacancies that we cannot fill because we just don't have Nigerians with the skills. So it's important that we skill up our Nigerians, skill up our young people to enable them to take up these opportunities. Huawei is providing vocational ICT training for girls, 1,000 girls in particular, and we have signed a partnership agreement with Cisco, one of the largest network companies in the world, to encourage our young Nigerians to go for the highest level of certification. We launched a new program, MicroWorks and e-Lansing, which basically allows semi-skilled individuals in ICT and non-skilled individuals in ICT to begin to earn money on the internet, basically by connecting to the internet and taking on jobs that are outsourced from all over the world on the internet. We ran this training for 2,000 Nigerians in March of 2013. 6 weeks after the training, there was a 27% increase on the number of Nigerians that were actually on this platform, and they earned about $120,000 between themselves in only 6 weeks. We're rolling this out to 6 states over the next 3 months or so to ensure that more Nigerians can participate in this particular initiative. We're also developing a national local content agenda. We're collaborating very well with the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment so that as we develop our local content agenda, we're not saying we don't want foreign investment. We need foreign investments. We need foreign expertise and skills in this industry. But we need to do it in a manner that encourages our local industry and allows it to grow and to prosper. So we're working with them to develop a national local content agenda that ensures that we don't violate any of the agreements of the World Trade Organization or even the ECOWAS protocols as well. And we're seeing some early outcomes of this local content agenda. RLG Communications is setting up a $20 million handset PC tablet manufacturing factory in Osun State. They will commence production in 2013. RLG is also providing customized ICT training to Osun State youth. MyPhone, that's a company that is active in 14 other African countries, is presently setting up a $30 million handset factory, and we expect production to start in Q4 of 2013. ICT in government, our indicators of success here is how effectively government uses information technology to engage citizens, to deliver services, and promote accountability, transparency, and reduce the cost of governance. Prior to the creation of the ministry, we didn't really have a focal point for where we looked at ICT in government. And so therefore, we're not capitalizing on the economies of scale of a very large IT spend. There was a lack of coordination and standardization across the different MDAs, and we had a lot of non-standardized data sets by which it was difficult for us to get any holistic government data out of that information. So what we're doing right now is we went to the Federal Executive Council to get approval to create a cadre of IT professionals in federal government. We have got that approval successfully. We started the Council of ICT Heads, which is a council of peers of directors of ICT in the ministries, where we begin to come together as a group and ensure that the billions of naira we're spending on ICT is better seen and better utilized in government. So there are a number of things that we're also doing. We are ensuring that we have very strong program management to ensure that we deliver IT projects on time, on budget, and they deliver the value that they're supposed to. I just want to say here that we continue with our Connected Government Initiative, Galaxy Backbone, and Galaxy Backbone will, on June 28th this year, receive an award in Bahrain for the 2013 United Nations Public Service Award in promoting the whole of government approaches in the information age category. I think we should all give Galaxy Backbone